leadership. My name is Peter Ndoro, and it's my great pleasure actually to be your program director for the next 2 days. And if you were here last year, you'd know my gag that I run all the time is I like being called a program director, because in Zambia they say that a master of ceremonies is someone who helps with circumcisions. So, so it's a good thing that we call ourselves program directors, unless there's somebody who needs help with the former, I don't know. But anyway, thank you very, very much indeed for joining us. And I think that, as I said, the next couple of days, we've got a lot to look forward to. I do see that there's a lot of people in the room wearing red jackets, red ties, and red things. Just to say that this isn't Parliament, okay? So you know, you can calm down a little bit. But yeah, I just want to say welcome to you all for joining us at this 9th Annual Skills Development Summit. And this year, very kindly spearheaded and sponsored by the Fiber Processing and Manufacturing Seta. Thank you very much indeed for being our title sponsor.
You know, many a times when people talk about municipalities, it's very negative because of the corruption, the fraud that is taking place, the negative audit opinions that we mainly get, and people think that we are sitting there and we are really not doing anything and we are not touching the lives of the people. So I'm here today to dispel some of those myths. I'm not saying those issues are not happening, but I'm saying let's look at municipalities in a different light altogether.
Come to adult education, which is andragogy. It's quite different. You come as a full human being. You come as a person who has already got ideas and families. You're a leader politically or in business or in church or whatever, and you've got experience. And what you're doing in adult education is quite different. You come because you want to learn. And wanting to learn makes a massive, massive difference.
But maths and science, particularly in the field of geosciences. And I'm sure when I mention the word geosciences, a lot of you are already wondering, what field is that? It's not something that mostly spoken about, but the most important thing about this science, whether you agree or not, this is the science that built Johannesburg.
DINA stands for Develop Your Natural Abilities, and we've been in the corporate leadership behavioral development space for the past 40 years. National business branches all around the country. Very privileged to have clients in our database from manufacturing, aviation industry, pharmaceutical, financial, and we are helping those to maximize their potential.
Why are you here? Yeah, sitting here right now. So what is your purpose for being here? And perhaps it is for the drinks afterwards, or to acknowledge that your company has won something. But maybe you're here because you are trying to learn something. And in terms of characteristics or traits or strengths in terms of character, it's stated that the closest route to happiness is through gratitude.
Let me just stress that agriculture is really the most important sector, I think, to everybody in here, because everybody has to eat, isn't it? So we depend on agriculture to get our food. We do the work, we do the science in order to get you the food that you need.
So we're running quick today, so I'm going to run through some ideas very quickly with you. But just to give you some context, I do run an organization called Happy Sandpit. I founded that about 3-4 years ago now. Our job as an organizational culture consultancy is, it's fundamentally to look at things from the business point of view rather than the psychological point of view. I'm not an organizational psychologist, I'm an entrepreneur. And to look at the way, as far as I'm concerned, the job is to create environments where happiness is possible in the first place at work. And from there, we can start to build on that.
I'm hoping that something of what I share with you will resonate with you in some way, that it builds you to a higher level than you already are. Just a little bit closer to your fullest potential. I certainly haven't reached mine. No one in this room has, indeed no one on this planet has reached their fullest potential. It's a journey. And for me, it starts and it resonates with that amazing saying by Stephen Covey in the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And the first habit is the most pertinent. begin with the end in mind. What is your end in mind? Amazing definition on the word hell. Hell is arriving at the end of your life and meeting the person you could have been. That's too late. So how do we shift our paradigm to actually finish our life with greatness? Because that is indeed what we're all destined for. We are destined for greatness. I think Madiba said, it doesn't serve us to play at being small.
Good morning, my name is Enoch Sefolo. I'm from Swan University of Technology and the Institute of Advanced Tooling. There what I'm doing, I'm a training technician. I'm training artisans and technicians on tool and die making. What we basically do, we introduce them to engineering drawing, engineering softwares, basic hand tools, basic machines, milling machines and lathe machines, different types of welding, arc welding, gas welding, and we also provide a tooling services in industries under molds, press tools, jigs and fixtures.
Just before I start, you'll notice that I'm working from my cell phone, and I understand that we are talking skills development, and part of it, we should be talking innovation. And that being the case, I'm still looking forward to the day when some presenter will be able to do the presentation and share the notes with the audience through Bluetooth connectivity. So the engineers and the system developers will work around that. I had to declare because somebody was asking for my presentation. I said, no, I'll be working from my cell phone.
My first slide is something from the European Foundation of Management Development keynote conference, which was some words from a speech I gave, which is, you know, as a leading business school in the world, you'd expect us to have the expert answers to most of the questions about leadership and business. And well, we don't. And the reason we don't is that sort of thing doesn't stay current for long. And leadership and learning is far too fascinating and complex to be amenable to simplistic answers, to clever algorithms and memorable sound bites. We're much more interested in working with passionate, committed people to discover the better questions to address tomorrow's challenges.
And actually, if I can just take you through some of the basic things that I tend to struggle with when I speak with some of the educators and also at the university level, one thing that I've been trying to live by, it's one of the quotes from Einstein when he said, if you cannot explain it simpler, you have not understood it.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to split you into two. We're going to ask you to join some breakaway sessions. They're going to be quite quick. We're not going to spend a full hour on them, half an hour in each one, so you'll hear from your speakers and have a little bit of a deliberation. It won't be very long, but I think we'll have enough time just to, kind of feel the subject, as it were. So we're splitting into two rooms.
Quickly, in terms of the sectors that we work with, we have printing, we have publishing, packaging, print media, forestry, wood, furniture, pulp and paper, clothing, textile, leatherware, and footwear. Our mandate as a Seta is to really facilitate skills development across these sectors. But we've actually realized the importance of closing out the loop and making sure that at the tail end of training, we have learners placed in organizations.
I'm going to spend a little bit of time on the conceptual frame. And the acronym there is the acronym that's currently preferred by the Department of Higher Education and Training, which is workplace-based learning. Okay. Now, I know that we all are quite familiar with the term work-integrated learning, but the department felt that workplace-based learning is probably a broader term which will encompass something like WIL and various other forms of workplace learning.
Well, I feel humbled and honored to be part of this summit and to stand in the midst of all of you as critical stakeholders of the post-school education, training, and development system with a strong desire and passion, of course, to uplift skills development in the fiber processing and manufacturing sector and the country as a whole. Your summit today comes at a very crucial time when we seek to advance our transformation agenda through a process that we've already embarked upon of building an expanded, effective and integrated post-school system that is captured well in our white paper for post-school education and training. This work is already finding expression in our 5-year strategic plan for the period 2015 to 2020, as well as in our annual performance plan for this year, and in the budget that we have presented to Parliament and subsequently to the National Council of Provinces.
The event pretty much ran along the same lines, but for me was really exciting this year is the fact that we've actually had the Deputy Minister here. And as we all know, a very dynamic man, energetic person, and I think that was the highlight for me compared to last year. The amazing opportunities for networking this year, and also the integration between everybody involved, whether it was people on the stands or whether it was delegates or even just from our side organizing it. That is the major difference, the two major differences for me since last year.
I want to share with you some innovation in the manufacturing sector in the skills development environment. We're going to look at some global trends, the growing skills gap, talent-driven innovation systems and industry-driven partnerships that's taking place. Globally, the manufacturing sector is changing, and it's changing very rapidly, and that is through highly industrialized manufacturing being perpetrated by all the 10 top world manufacturing economies, the US, China, Germany, and elsewhere. So they are taking the lead and setting the pace, and unfortunately, if we want to be in manufacturing, we've got to follow. But we have a problem. South Africa's manufacturing GDP, as you can see, have been shrinking radically.
So as Randwater, our business has its footprint spread in South Africa and internationally. In South Africa, we're supporting municipalities, for example, in terms of them being able to meet their blue drop requirements. And the program director was talking about how safe our water is. And what it means is occasionally municipalities at different levels will be audited to check whether the type of water they are supplying meets specific requirements.
I'm Lorinda from the Farm Inn. We're located in Silver Lakes. We're a wildlife sanctuary. We've got 84 bedrooms. We've got 13 conferencing venues. We host conferences, weddings, functions, baby showers, anything you can think about, we do. We've got a game park where we take our guests out on a game drive. We've got a lovely tea garden where we incorporate game drives. People can have lunch with us, do game drives. Yes, if that's a perfect getaway for families over a weekend. If people don't know what to do, they come to us and we entertain them.
My name is Lurik Marishane. I'm from Limpopo. My entrepreneurial journey started when I was about 16 years old. I invented a gel that cleans your body without the need for water. So today I'm going to share a story with you about the theory or the mindset that we call mindfulness, how we used it in our journey in commercializing dry bath, and how we're using it in skills development, specifically looking at increasing the ROI that you get from the money you spend on bursary students in South Africa.
So we know that today the numbers still say 80% of the schools in our country are dysfunctional. That's a big number. That's a very scary number. And the number that we in this room should be even more concerned about is the fact that every year about 1.1 and 1.2 million children come into our system. Of that number, only 500,000 will reach matric. And of the 500,000 that reach matric, only 200,000 will finish after 16 years after grade 1, will have a qualification that they can live an economically sustainable life.
We're very much about young people, and I'd like to take the doctor's thoughts on how we get more young people interested in science and maths. Those two subjects come up all the time. can I just see, how many of you have heard of Bloodhound? Bloodhound's supersonic car project? Not many. Would you believe that we've had over 4.5 billion rands worth of media coverage since our launch in 2008? And I was delighted to see that we were going to have lots of learners in here, because they're the people that we need to target.
We started it in the year 2001, particularly for the reason we wanted to do beneficiation in the mining industry. As we all know that in South Africa we produce precious metal, precious stones, but we are unable to fabricate them into finished products. So we had a very good relationship with by then Minister of Minerals and Energy, Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka, when she started what we call value beneficiation in the mining sector.
The issue of preparing students or graduates for employment. There is a limitation in that industries, by their nature, they tend to change and move based on markets and technologies. So we would be shooting ourselves on the foot if we were to take that risk. However, I would agree with you when you say we should ensure that we prepare and train our young people for the world of work, not typically for employment. There, I think you and I are speaking on the same language.
We know that researchers research and tell us the statistics, but as the AIDC, we take those statistics and implement and make sure that we turn around the scarce and critical skills that we face within our country. Probably it will be important for me to also highlight our vision and our mission within the AIDC. This is a company that has been established in 2000. It's an agency to government, obviously reporting to the Gauteng Growth Development Agency and reporting directly to the Department of Economic Development. So we drive the economy of the country within the automotive sector.
Mohammed Peterson, I work for the AIDC, which is the Automotive Industry Development Center. We are an agency that does work for the Gauteng Economic Development Department, so we run all the projects in the automotive sector. So we work with a lot of the OEMs, Ford, Nissan, BMW, as well as their suppliers. So, our main focus is obviously to make the automotive industry in South Africa a lot more competitive internationally. Our main focus areas are skills development, supply development, enterprise development, government incentive.
You would be absolutely amazed at how brilliant some South African businesses are and how brilliant leaders actually can be. We think that some of the greatest ideas about employee engagement come from overseas, and we are dead wrong. There's some genius all about us here.
Thanks everybody for at least coming back. So Money for Jam is really simple. We've got two value propositions. For the end user, we allow you to earn money using your cell phone. Any job that you can do in under 10 minutes on your cell phone, you earn some cash. I'll explain that in more detail. For brands, however, or government or NGOs that want to engage with the community, we give you the simplest thing possible, being real-time data. You can gather it with the end consumer doing the work for you. Far cheaper, quicker, and at scale compared to you using an in-house workforce.
Now, the philosophy that we teach at Katlopile Education is very simple, that success cannot send you a please call. In that regard, that we tell students that they need to fend for themselves, they need to take the opportunity that's given to them in this day and age. Now, 2006, after matric, we helped schools in Soweto, we helped a school in Soweto to get 98% pass rate in their matric finals. Now, we're not just talking about just matric 98% pass rate, we're talking about exemptions, we're talking about distinctions. And when I talk about tutoring kids in mathematics, we're not just talking about those ones that already are getting good marks. We're talking about those students that come with 26% and go straight to 80%.